Well, we're talking about spirit, sex, freedom, and love. Rub-a-dub-dub, talking in the tub. Tub talk!
Hi, welcome to Tub Talk. I'm Will Fisher, and today we have Daniel Nardicio in the tub. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, I've been in hair and makeup for hours. I'm so excited.
Well, you look great. You look great. Don't get any makeup in the tub. So, Daniel, we are so excited because you are one of Easton Mountain's newest community members.
Yeah.
And you're already in it to win it. You've got a program coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about Daniel and about your whole path here. How did you end up here at Easton, and what does it mean to you? What's going on?
It was Facebook, really. I just went one weekend. I had a weekend off finally after a summer on Fire Island, and someone said, go to Easton Mountain. I looked up the website. I saw a gay retreat 2.5 hours of New York or 3 hours from New York. I thought I didn't even know necessarily about it. So I'd heard the name here and there a little bit, and I just called and booked a room and came up and had like the best weekend ever.
Awesome.
It's like the perfect anecdote to like New York for me, which is like, you know, New York is so fun and you get things and you go for things, and then here it's like you get to really sort of retreat into yourself, and I met great people that weekend, and like it answered a question that I didn't even know that I had been asking, which is sort of how do you deal with the stresses of New York, and how do you deal with sort of living in New York when it gets taxing after a while. And then I found Easton, and that's sort of, yeah, and it's become like a spiritual home.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so tell us about your program. When's it happening? What's it called? What's the deal?
Well, it's called the Dream Academy, and the reason that I call it that is because a lot of the guys that work with me and the people that are my friends, I do this thing where I work on them to help them to get their goals. So I work with different people, and also friends, to set your goals. I really believe that, you know, if a ship doesn't have like a captain, then it just goes ashore. And this isn't it isn't wildly spiritual. It's just really practical. Like, set down what you want, and then a lot of times by setting that intention or that goal, you sort of achieve it sometimes with very little effort, just by knowing where you're going. But a lot of people don't have that, and what they really don't have, a lot of people is the support. Once you figure out what you want, like sometimes it's hard. You run into like self-sabotaging, or you run into like things that happen that you don't exactly know how to proceed. And I thought, what if we put a group of 50 guys together? We had them up here for the weekend, and they really got to know each other and develop friendships with the idea that this person's got my back getting these goals. They know what my goals are, and we check in with each other. And so through the weekend, what we do is we start on the process of figuring out what those are, figuring out how you sabotage yourself in your daily life in terms of getting, and everyone has some form of self-sabotage, but like to the degree, and then developing support network of people, you know, and then always having Easton to come back to, you know what I mean? Or we'll do the group 4 times a year if we need to, or twice a year, where you can come back and check in with that same group of guys and say, okay, I don't know that this is what I want, because that happens too. You know, what we want changes. And so every year I do this between Christmas and New Year's, and I write a long list down and I figure out what I want to go for, and magically most of it happens.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in what ways has it impacted your life in terms of achieving your goals?
Well, one of the things I've learned about life is if you put down a list of 10 of the things you're most proud of in your life, none of them were by happenstance. All of them were because you made a goal. I'm going to learn Spanish. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to get a green card. Whatever it is, you made a goal for it, and then you had to do things to get it. If you don't make that goal, if you don't really think about it, then you don't achieve things. And one of the it sounds very, you know, sort of Madonna 80s, getting what you want, and people sort of like really look down on that. But a very important part of life is accomplishment. You know, and Easton's got the spiritual thing down, and I thought, what could I bring? And they've really got the spiritual thing down. It's an amazing place. I highly recommend, if you're looking for a spiritual program or to develop something, check out the website eastonmountain.org, and you can really, you know, see all the different programs, from sort of the sexual tantric stuff all the way to lots of healing programs. But I wanted sort of more of a practical program, because I'm a very practical guy, and so. For me, it's worked because I've achieved a lot of my life that I wanted.
Yeah. And
the magic of it is that when you do, you can then go back and make a new list and go, well, now what do I want to do? And it's very exciting. My theory in life has always been, if you're not growing, you're stagnating. People think you're not growing, you're plateauing, but you're just stagnating. And so I feel like we have to push each other to grow sometimes. This isn't for everyone. that's the other thing I've learned is a lot of people don't want this kind of thing and they don't want goals, but for me it's very important. And so I put and I also want to balance it with a lot of fun because people need to see the grounds and meet the people and eat the food. There's a lot to do here besides the program, so we're gonna do a bunch
And you
of
have
fun.
a reputation as a fun guy in New York City, no?
One of the funnest.
What's that about, Daniel? What is your reputation around?
Well, I mean, for the last 14 years or so, I've been a party promoter and a nightclub event guy. So I've done a lot of events in New York, some of the most dirty, low-down, rottenest events in the city, to some bigger stuff, concerts and different bigger events in the city. And so I know how to throw a good party. And I thought, what if I did that in this environment with 50 select people that got a chance to see it? And that kind of excites me because there's something, I'm 47, and that's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, which is a lot of the people that have gone to my events 14 years ago that were in their 20s are now in their late 30s.
Yeah.
And the question is, like, what's next? They're not going to want to go stand around at the cock all the time. You know what I mean? And where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And then when I came here, I was like, this is a great place to go from here, you know?
Beautiful.
And also, too, I feel like the evolution of Easton is fascinating to watch. What will this place become now, you know?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think that might be? Like, what do you think Easton's place is in the LGBTQ community?
Well, from what I understand, Easton started as an answer to the AIDS epidemic in a lot of ways. And if you don't know, I mean, that's something you should know about this, is that it was a very sort of direct response to sort of the epidemic where people could go and feel safe or feel sexual, you know. But that's changed. You know, now people are just surviving with HIV. They're not dying off like they were in the past. And so I think that there's this really interesting chance to that this place is reinventing itself. And for what? And that's the big question. And I hope that I can be a small part of going forward with it. I see it as a place to go when you feel disconnected from people. That's what that's what I see, you know. Cool. And I see a lot of people in the city that feel disconnected, that, you know, what I said about clubs, I mean, I love clubs and I think club life is incredible, but it isn't the end all be all. And so where do you go to, like, commune with people that isn't always about alcohol and go-go boys and immediate hookups? And this is that possibility.
Beautiful. Cool. So one last plug for the event. Tell us when it is and how they can find out more about it.
It's February 28th to March 2nd. You can check it out at eastonmountain.org. It's called, I laugh at the name because it's kind of silly, but it's funny at the same time, the Dream Academy. And you can check it out at eastonmountain.org or my website, it'll be on dworld.us with some information on it. And email if you have any questions, Daniel@dworld.us. I can tell you about what it is or a little bit more about Easton. But even before then, if you get a chance, I'd say come up here for a weekend and check it out. And you're really going to like it. It's an amazing place.
Awesome.